I'm a little annoyed with not the fact that there's DLC for Monster Hunter World, but the fact that I feel it's really overpriced. Um, it's mostly silly things like the gestures and extra hairstyles and face
Yeah.
paints and stickers that you can use in the typey chat thing. You can send it a little image thing, but they're like super expensive for what they are. Five
Mhm.
stickers is like $2. And it's like, really? $2 for for five digital
Right.
stickers? I think, but there's right now there's $40 worth of DLC for Monster Hunter World, and for $40 you get not much, nine gestures, which are just animation loops.
Yeah.
So there's like the sit gesture, and your character sits. Um, a couple stickers, couple hairstyles, and face paints.
Yeah.
$40, really? I mean,
$40, huh?
I mean, they keep releasing events, and the new monster, Devil Joe, which is not a new monster, but they're going to add Devil Joe to the game in April or something like that, and that's going to be free. And I love that. That's great.
Yeah.
And they're adding Ryu and Sakura from Street Fighter
Yeah, I
to the
saw
game,
that.
which is super cool. I mean, they're really just armor sets that change you into Ryu and Sakura, and they're doing the same thing with Alloy from Horizon Zero Dawn. I don't think they've
Okay.
done that quest yet, but
Huh.
um, basically they give a quest, and you can do the quest and get materials that you can use to build these armor sets, which makes you look like Ryu or Sakura or Aloy from Horizon Zero Dawn.
Yeah.
But the kind of scummy thing is while Ryu and Sakura, when their quests come into the rotation, are free, you have to play the quests and beat them maybe two or three times to get enough materials to build their stuff. But for all intents and purposes, those costumes are free.
Yeah.
But the Hadoken and Shoryuken gestures are $4 a piece.
Oh, holy cow.
Yeah, Ryu and Sakura are free, but oh, you want their signature moves? That'll be $8. Oh, Capcom, come on.
And you know what?
$4 for a single animation?
They're gonna have thousands upon thousands of people who actually buy these things.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's kind of
You know,
sad, really.
I mean, if one single animation was worth $4, video games would be like $100,000.
Yep. Oh,
Now,
you want the Mario jump animation? That's $4. You want the Mario breaking a block animation? That's another $4.
reminds me of, I think there's it's a DLC quest, I think, where
Yeah, yeah,
when you start the game, you can only move right,
yeah.
and you have to collect coins in the game to
To
buy
buy
the
the
ability
other,
to move
yeah,
left and jump and open the menu and stuff like that. So, which I thought
yeah.
was pretty funny.
It was. It was a funny game, a good game.
Okay, you got the stopwatch. Let's start the show.
Yep, I got it ready.
Oh, golly, we've got stuff to talk about today.
Yeah.
Yeah, Scotty, we'll be talking about that at some point. Okay, here we go.
All right.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Molehill Mountain, episode 87. Andrew Eisen here, along with E. Zachary Knight. Hello,
Hello.
Zachary.
I am Andrew's friend. Yes.
Yes, the Molehill Mountain podcast with Andrew Eisen, +1.
Yeah. Yeah. So how was your week?
It's been very stressful because of work and
Yeah.
personal expenses and things. Oh
Yeah.
man,
That's always stressful.
yeah. I think one of the things that's eaten me most is we that there's nowhere to park at work. I almost went home on like Wednesday or Thursday, because there was literally no open spaces. I'm like, I guess I'm just going to take my equipment and go home and work from there.
Yeah.
Luckily, a space opened up. probably someone going to lunch or something like that, or going to the post office, and I took their space.
Sucks to be them.
Gets driving and listening to the podcast at the same time. That's cool. So the my building, the lot has two distinct buildings on it and a parking
Mhm.
lot that surrounds both buildings, and the two buildings are connected by a center courtyard. So you have the
Yeah.
two buildings right here and then parking lot all around the back, right? Around each side and around the back. um our building has, say, 60 people working in it. I have no idea what the number is. It might be higher, but let's say
Yeah.
it's 60 people. We seem to have about 55 spaces. Um, the other building, by the way, the two different buildings owned by two different people, two different property managers, and someone seemed to do that sitcom thing where they're going to paint a line through the middle of the room and say, "This is your side, this is my side, stay the hell off my side." They do
Yeah.
that. Like, here's the line. This building parks on this side. This building parks on that side. The problem is the other building seems to have about 50 people working in it
Yeah.
and 100 spaces in their parking lot. So we don't have enough spaces for the number of people who work in our building, but we're not allowed to park over the, even one
Yeah.
space over the line, even though at any given time, from just standing in one spot, I can see over 3 dozen empty spaces. Not only that, but they hired two security guards to stand outside in the parking lot and tell you
To
to
make
piss
sure
off.
nobody.
Wow. How petty.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, but we're all friends here, you
Yeah.
know? But this was never a problem before. Why is it a problem now? I I
Yeah.
mean, that would be like I, I don't know, throwing away food in front of someone who is starving.
Yeah.
Taking a bite out of a sandwich, or even like saying, "I don't need this sandwich. I'm not hungry." And hungry person says, "Can I have it?" And you say, "No, because it's mine. And I choose that it goes in the trash instead of your stomach where it would be more useful." That's just crappy.
You think there would be I don't know, is there not like a building coordinator or something that would be able to
We
negotiate
we have
spaces?
one person who handles stuff like that, who's talking to the property manager to try to talk to the other property manager to say, "Look, everyone's going to park on our side, but we
Mm.
seem to be short like 3 or 4 spaces every single day. Once we fill up, is it okay if we take 2 or 3 of your 3 dozen open spaces? Either that or just move the line over one." That would give us, like, moving it over one space because of the different rows would give us like 5 extra spaces, which should be enough.
Yeah.
But I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So,
That's crazy.
but
Yeah,
I,
see, I have the luxury of working in a place that has there's no conjoining buildings or
yeah.
anything that require us to share parking spaces, and then we've got, like, I don't know, probably a good 40 spaces empty every day. So
But maybe they could do assigned spaces. I'd be fine with that. And it's like, "Andrew, you park in space 101 every day. That's the only place you can park." Okay, fine. You
yeah,
know, I don't. It's like, you have two buildings here. Are you worried about our people parking way the hell over here in your space? No one's gonna do that. no one's gonna. No one's gonna park way over there. It's way over there. We're naturally going to park over here. The only
yeah,
time we start getting closer and closer is when we run out of space.
yeah.
So
That's fun. Yeah.
I
Ugh.
I mean, I could understand you don't want the people from the building across the street coming over and parking. It's like,
Oh
park in
yeah,
your own damn lot. And
yeah,
the
exactly.
thing is the building across the street, I think, is like driver training for when you get a ticket and you're supposed to take the bus. And a lot of people drive because they're breaking the law, and they'll park an hour lot and walk over so they don't see them driving. That's the problem we've had, but the
Yeah.
solution they came up with just makes it worse for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can imagine.
Reminds me of some of the stories we'll talk about tonight, like DRM. Speaking of which, we have a lot of stories, so we should probably get to them.
Yeah, we should probably just jump right in.
Yeah. So our first story tonight is about YouTube. Who, if you follow me on Twitter at Andrew Eisen, you'll know that I'm very ornery when it comes to YouTube. I don't appreciate at all YouTube recommending me videos from angry, bigoted assholes.
Yeah, see
Um,
that was always an issue back when Anita Sarkeesian was doing her tropes versus women and
mhm.
games series. It's like you watch the video and then YouTube recommends like 50 jerks who are just really
Disingenuous
yeah,
misogynists who are
yeah.
just rabble rousing and being crappy.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
like, oh, you watched a really positive, fun video. Here, watch some negative takes on this video that'll make you hate humanity. It's
yeah,
like, what?
yeah. I am not interested in hatred, bigotry. I'm not interested in uh, ludicrous and horrible conspiracy theories.
Yeah,
Uh, everything. Yeah, I'm not talking about flat Earth crap. I'm talking about school shootings are not real. They're false flags by the deep
yeah,
state and all the. No one actually died. These are all act. I don't want to see any of this crap. I,
yeah.
I don't want it. Every time you recommend crap like this to me, I mark it as not interested. You think your algorithm would pick up on the pattern at some point.
You
And I
would
started
think.
thinking, how does this? I mean, it's certainly not random, right? I mean, so I'm
Yeah,
starting to think, what is the algorithm keying on? So my theory is, and I posited this on YouTube also, on Twitter also, is I'm a fan of video games and anime and superheroes and Star Wars and
yeah,
Batman, and I'm really looking forward to seeing Black Panther this weekend if it isn't sold out in every single theater again. um, so because I'm that kind of a fan, because I love all that stuff, YouTube's algorithm seems to assume that I'm an angry bigot and I want to watch videos by angry
yeah.
bigots. No, no, I don't. Stop it. So, which leads me to this story, which is YouTube's trending page, a little bit different from its recommendations page. Its trending pages, every 15 minutes or so, it cycles through. Here's our top trending videos. Well, there's no oversight, there's no
Yeah,
moderation there. It's not curated, it's an
yeah,
algorithm. And
exactly.
apparently, no one's actually watching what's going up. So, you've had stuff like Logan Paul's taking a
Suicide.
video of
Thing,
a
yeah,
hanging victim uh, going on the trending. I think this week was one of those
yeah. One of
despicable
those.
false flag. Last week's school shooting, someone ranting about how it's a false flag and these are all crisis actors. That garbage got on the trending. And people
Yeah.
are rightfully upset about this. That
Hmm.
should not happen. And
Yeah.
YouTube, while I can't find a direct quote for this, the CNBC article I read described YouTube's excuse thusly. Um, uh, YouTube's position is that because it has country-specific trending tabs all over the world that update approximately every 15 minutes, it would be impossible to have humans moderate that section. That is one of the most disingenuous things I have ever heard.
Yeah. You
No,
would
it
think
would
there.
not.
Yeah. You think there would be a way to. I,
Hire
you know,
one person per country to look
yeah.
at the 10 or however many videos are recommended every 15 minutes. And if one looks suspect, flag it to not go trend, take a look at it, and if it's okay, then it can go out with the next cycle.
Yeah.
This is
Uh,
not hard.
It's
Or as
yeah,
someone else
exactly.
recommended, slow it down to every 30 minutes or
Yeah,
whatever.
do that, or just I don't know. Because the way they describe their algorithm is that it's based off. Let's see, what was I was trying to figure out now where the part was that I was reading, but it's described that the algorithm works based off of total views within the time the video went up was uploaded, and other factors like that. You would think that they would take into account downvotings, people who started watching and then quit. It's like, how many people watched the video completely through and or liked it and or shared it or whatever, and figure out all of that and then base it off of that, rather than just total number of views within a certain period of time, because a lot of people hate watch stuff. And it's just
Sure.
it's one of those things. It's like, look how stupid this video is, and people will go and watch it to see what everybody's talking about.
Yeah.
And because they're hate watching it, or watching it to find out how dumb it is, they add to the trending, and makes it hit the trending list. And yeah, that's that's pretty, it doesn't really factor in whether that video is being well received, I guess. Yeah, so
Froylan13 says you can't have a single guy per country. When's he going to take a break? Whenever he needs to take a break. Just
yeah,
pause it. It doesn't have to go out every
every
single 15 minutes.
yeah, and
It
if
can
it's
go
every
out as
30
soon as
minutes,
it's approved, or
yeah,
it could go out every 30 minutes, or you could hire more than one person. This is Google we're talking about. They have the money to do this. This
yeah,
is not an impossible task. It's not even a difficult one. You know,
yeah,
you do not want, at least I would hope you do not want to amplify horrible, dangerous, hateful messages because bad things happen.
yeah,
Like the students of, and it's Stoneman something high school, many of them are being harassed and
yeah,
threatened on Twitter and other social media, and even getting calls to their houses from people who buy into this stupid crap and then go call them at
yeah,
home and
exactly.
yell at them. And promoting or amplifying these uh, conspiracy theories, and I hate calling it conspiracy theory because to me it's kind of like
Yeah,
calling swatting a prank. I need
yeah,
to come up with a better phrase than conspiracy theory that really drives home how dangerous and malicious these things are.
yeah,
Um, but really, YouTube, and I said this on Twitter earlier this week too. Um, YouTube should not want to host hate speech on its platform.
yeah,
It can, it's within its rights to do so. It doesn't have to do anything different than it is now, but it should want to.
yeah.
For
You would think,
example, if anyone starts slinging racial epithets in my comment section, I ban them. I don't have to do that. That's my choice because I don't want that garbage in my comment section. So you go
yeah,
bye bye. If you come to my house and do that, you're then going to leave my house. You're not
yeah,
welcome here anymore.
exactly.
I don't care if you see it as unfair. It's completely
Yeah,
fair. Go say that garbage in your own house. No one is, free speech does not mean I or anyone else has to give you a platform.
yeah, yeah, definitely. And I think there's I would hope that Google would have at least a team of people trying to figure out how to make this better, because one of the options is just to get rid of the trending section altogether, and and if that's what it comes out, if their algorithm and their business practices are incapable of putting trash videos into the trending section, then that trending section is completely useless. For I never go to the trending section because I don't really care.
Neither do I.
But
Recommendations is what I look at. I
yeah.
like being exposed to new things and new people, new
Oh yeah,
creators, new ideas. Trending, I don't care about. Recommendations is what I look at.
yeah. Recommendations is good. Trending, I've been to the trend. I clicked over to the trending tab a few times in the past and saw absolutely nothing there that was of interest.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, I get all my recommendations either from people that I follow on Twitter or sites that I visit, or just recommendations on the homepage recommendations, and I've been slowly expanding the content that I'm exposed to on there, but it's just yeah, it's not everything is for everybody, and
Yeah.
and if
And
you like the trending section to
oh,
find
sure.
out
Yeah, I don't
what's
have a
cool,
problem with the existence of the trending
yeah,
section. It's just not something I personally follow because
yeah,
I'm not a trendy kind of guy. Look at the way I dress.
yeah,
So moderation is not as hard as Google or anyone else
yeah,
makes it out to be, at least not in this case, because you can pretty much tell from the video title and the thumbnail. I can, but I'll tell you what, every time I see a video that looks like it's going to be angry, bigoted nonsense, I give it the benefit of the doubt. I don't watch it, but I go to the channel and I look at the other videos. And that's usually immediately clear. It's like, oh, it's one of these. Okay.
yeah.
I don't. I also look at the about tag and read that because
If they've even put anything there.
if it's someone who's legit, because it could be some type of clickbait type video title,
Yeah,
and I don't, it may be someone who's, I mean, you don't want to because you may end up watching it. It's like, okay, eating babies, you rascally satire person, Mr. Swift. Because
yeah,
if you just base it on the title, although that was called a modest proposal, you kind of have to, it wasn't a very clickbaity title. Can you imagine
yeah.
what would that be called if Jonathan Swift was a modern day person in social media? It'd probably be why eating babies is good or something like that. But yeah, I mean,
Two
I
steps
have
for
no idea how
solving
many videos are in
solving world
trending.
hunger. Yeah,
I imagine it's 10 to 15 videos.
yeah.
I could moderate 10 to 15 videos every 15 minutes if that were my job.
Or
That's
every
easy.
30 minutes. Yeah,
Or every
you would think that the trending video tab, if it updates every 15 minutes, you would think that the videos you'd be able to watch all 15 video or however many videos in that 15 minutes so that you could see the next set of 15 videos if that's what you're interested in. Yeah, but
some of the really
yeah, some of them get
cool
really
stuff
long.
are
Yeah,
like some of them are hours long.
yeah,
It's absurd. Anyway, Forlane actually makes a very good point. YouTube's not making any money. Why spend more money? Google might not want to do that. And that, friends, is that's
yeah,
exactly
that's
why.
true.
Whenever and this is a generalization, of course, but whenever a company does something progressive or something that's just the decent thing to do, it's because it's the more profitable thing to do. Almost certainly the reason Google doesn't do anything like this and makes asinine, disingenuous excuses like, oh, it's just impossible to do that, it's because we don't want to spend the money to do that.
Yeah,
So if we as a peoples really want that, then we have to lay into companies like Google and say, look, I'm not going to use your damn services. Well, I'm not going to use Google Plus because it sucks, but I'm really not going to use it unless you do this. Really hard to do with, the
yeah,
monopoly ones like YouTube or Amazon. For instance, there's a big movement right now to get people to to get companies to disassociate themselves with the NRA, and it's
yeah,
been very successful with like rental car services. Um, Amazon, Amazon hasn't buckled yet because everyone's going to use Amazon, right?
yeah,
But a lot of people are like, you know what? I will use another rental service instead of Hertz. I will fly another airline instead of Delta. So these companies will be like, Well, we have disassociated ourselves with the NRA because we're good people. No, because your customer base was bailing on you.
Yeah,
And I hate being that cynical, but that's really the way it works, unfortunately.
definitely.
Companies are not people. Companies are businesses to make money.
Yeah,
Um, which I suppose we might get into this later, but um, companies that represent and lobby and do PR for the stuff that you like, be it video games or guns, are not your friends. They do not represent you.
yeah,
The ESA represents video game publishers, not gamers.
yeah,
The NRA represents gun manufacturers, not gun owners. Neither of them care about you. They care about the publishers and the manufacturers whose interests they represent.
yeah.
They care about selling more product to you. They don't care about you. That's not what they're there for. So,
Exactly.
and a lot of people really, oh, the ESA fights for gun. No, they don't.
No,
Oh,
they
the
don't.
NRA
Yeah.
represents gun owners. No, they
No,
don't.
they don't. Yeah. Yeah.
They're only interested in you so far as they can sell you stuff. And again, I hate being that cynical,
But
but
it's
that's the
true.
way it
It's true.
works.
Yes, it is very true. And yeah, and that's why we need good, strong, consumer-oriented groups.
Yeah.
Like the FEE. Golly, now I can't remember what
EFF?
or EFF. I don't
Okay.
FEE.
I was like,
Yeah,
who are you
I'm
talking
like,
about?
I got the
The
acronym
Electronic
backwards.
Frontier
Yeah, EFF. Yeah,
Foundation.
yeah, but yeah, they're a consumer-oriented group. They look out for consumers because that's
That's
what
what
they
they
look
do.
out for
Yeah.
the people because
Right.
and they fight back against the ESA, the BSA, and all these other the MPAA, RIA. They fight back against those kind of people.
Right.
And
Scotty points out that Breitbart has been hit hard by this type of activism, so there's hope. Yeah. For example, you would think that services like GoDaddy would not want to host garbage like Breitbart or the
yeah,
Daily Stormer, to give an even more explicit example of hate. And
yeah,
it's only been recently that sites like GoDaddy have like, oh yeah, you know what? People have been telling us that hosting Nazis is a bad look. It's like,
well,
and they're like, but yeah, but
yeah,
we sell a lot. There's a lot of traffic on them, and we sell a lot of ads. Well,
yeah,
a lot of advertisers have started pulling, so the hosting platforms are like, well, we can't run ads on them anyway, so they're starting to be
yeah,
more and more happy to drop crap like that.
yeah. But
So,
GoDaddy,
all
yeah,
right,
I dropped them back during the SOPA days because
yeah, yeah,
it's like, oh, we support SOPA. Everybody leaves. No, we don't.
yeah. So, we should move to another topic because
Yes,
we
we
got
should.
lots of them. But before we do, we must clarify that this is indeed the Molehill Mountain Show, episode 87 with Andrew Eisen and friends, of
Yes.
which Deja Voodoo is one. So,
Yes.
okay, let us move to a new topic. And this one is about a developer. Now, we have long known that DRM, digital rights management, does not work. It does
No.
not prevent piracy. The only thing it does is make it more inconvenient for the people who are actually giving you money. And the people who are pirating your stuff don't have to deal with your DRM half the time. So,
Yeah.
tell us about this magical new DRM that was
All right.
released.
So, let's go back a decade or so, back to the days of music CDs and the early days of ripping music CDs in onto and creating MP3s of the songs that are on it. And during this time, the music publishers were all freaking out about this because they're like, crap, piracy is rampant in the computer era because people can just take the songs off the CD and share those online. What should we do? What should we do? And so Sony, in its infinite wisdom, decided to include a rootkit on in their CDs that installed itself onto your computer the moment you stuck a CD in, and then totally screwed up your machines, bricked plenty of computers at that point, and that ticked a lot of people off. And people don't like having their computers destroyed by innocuous things like CDs, and so apparently there are some people out there that didn't learn from that fiasco. And so this past week, a developer of they create add-ons for Flight Simulator X. I'm not sure what that is. That's not the same thing as Microsoft Flight Simulator, but they make add-ons, basically new planes and areas to fly in and that kind of stuff. And apparently, they had this, and in a recent release, some Redditors decided to explore what was actually in the package that they were downloading and installing, because a lot of people had been told by the developer to disable their virus scanners in order to install the add-on, and so that raised some red flags with some people, and they decided,
Why do you want me to do that?
yeah, and so they cracked open the exe and found another executable inside there that was it was called test.exe, and they were like, what in the world is this? And so they looked at it, looked at what it did, and what it did was, when it ran, it accessed your Google Chrome browser and scraped out all of your saved usernames and passwords and the sites that they go to,
Mhm.
and then sent that off to the developer, and and so they
Your
hold
kids are
on a
screaming.
sec. Yeah, my kids. Okay. Sorry about that. Had to give my daughter a hug and a kiss. Okay. But okay, so this sparked a very, very big controversy on Reddit, and everybody's like, "What in the world? Why are they installing this malware on our computers?" And so everybody was just freaking out, and the developer chimed in and said, "Oh, we're not doing anything wrong," and everybody's like, "But
Trust
file is
us.
right there," and they're like, "Oh, that file. Oh, you don't need to worry about that. That's just our DRM. We've been having some problems with piracy lately, and what that is that only ever gets triggered if we detect a pirated copy of our add-on being installed, and so and so it's only going to happen to pirates. It's not ever going to happen to legitimate customers who actually bought our stuff."
Yeah, because the history of DRM is perfect in that regard.
Oh yeah, it's perfect. Yeah, and so that made everybody pretty ticked, because there are just so many ways that DRM um, it gets confused, gets mangled. Like, something happens, you reformat your machine and you
Mhm.
reinstall, or you reinstall it on a second machine or something like that. Any simple action like that could theoretically trigger DRM to treat you like a pirate.
Right. It
And
could be as simple as the serial number being wrong. I mean,
yeah,
for
you
example,
mistyped the serial
Nintendo
number.
sent out a bunch of Bayonetta download codes that were completely wrong,
Yeah,
that didn't
exactly.
download the game. It happens. It's a mistake. But the
Yeah.
result of that mistake should not be, and now we have all of your passwords.
Exactly.
Oopsie.
And so the developer, just got tons of flack from the media, from Reddit. and in their own forums, and so eventually they're just like, they made an explanation thread where they were like, okay,
Which
this
was
is why we
which
did
was
it.
essentially, we honestly didn't think you would notice.
Yeah, exactly. It's like we didn't think anybody would find this. This was just to target these specific pirates, and we were going to hack is, which is really funny because they're technically breaking the law because they're breaking the CFAA, but I think they're a European company. So but I believe there are privacy protection laws in Europe as well that would, what they're doing is basically flat out illegal. It doesn't matter if they have good intentions or personal justification for doing this. They are breaking the law. They're stealing identities. They're hacking somebody's computer to gain access to this personally identifying information, and so basically they could go to jail for doing this, even if all they ever did was grab information.
Well, what
And
exactly do they want with the password information from pirates? Do they want to
well,
steal
I think
money from their bank account?
no, I
What are they
believe
doing with it?
their motivation here is that they were going to use that to help them identify the pirates so that they could sue them later on, and or
Right.
something along those lines. I believe that's what they were saying.
That
And
is what they said.
yeah, and it's just like, and everybody's just like, you realize no lawyer is going to touch that with the 10-foot pole because you broke the law so that you could sue someone, and those pirates are going to counter sue or charge you with hacking and identity theft, and it's not going to turn out good for you guys. So they eventually relented, and they're like, okay, fine, we'll take it out. We're sorry you got offended that we put this in here, but we took it out, so you're safe at now. And honestly, I don't trust these guys anymore. It's like I
Yeah.
never bought their products or anything. I never had any plans ever to buy the game, but it's just like I really hope that people who play Flight Simulator X know that these guys should never, they should never buy these guys stuff, because there's no way they have any trust left over with their customers at this point.
This is a tortured analogy, I suppose, but it would be kind of like if there's a particular manufacturer and delivery service of gas stoves who has a history of people dying because through gas explosions or CO2 suffocation and stuff like that.
Yeah.
If they said, "Okay, we're going to deliver your new gas stove, just make sure you turn off the CO2 alarm," you'd be like, "What? Why? Why would
Well,
I want to do that?"
I think you mean CO alarm, but it's carbon monoxide,
Yeah,
not
carbon
carbon
monoxide. Sorry.
dioxide. Yeah.
Yeah.
But seriously, yeah, it's exactly like that. Why would you buy a product that tells you can't use a
Yeah.
carbon monoxide
On
detector
the other hand, I
with
wonder if
it?
I'd be more frightened if the delivery person of my new gas stove said, "Okay, here's your new stove. Make sure you turn on the carbon monoxide siren detector." You're
Yeah.
like, I don't think I want this anymore.
Well, see, I don't really mind. If it's just a reminder,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
just make sure you keep your
It's all in the
carbon monoxide.
delivery.
It's all in
Yeah.
there. But yeah, because but I believe like we had an issue recently. Just a side note here, where our smoke alarm was going off and wouldn't shut off, and so my wife called out the fire department, and they do, they'll do heat and carbon monoxide checks, and nothing was wrong, but but we ended up getting all new detectors, but yeah, it's one of those things. You want to be safe, and you don't want to use a product that has a history of not being safe.
Yeah.
And with computers, you don't want to use a product that has a history of being associated with malware.
Right.
And so yeah, I hope these guys have
Yeah.
lost all their business because and this is the kind of I usually give companies a benefit of a doubt. Like I personally boycott Ubisoft, but I don't wish Ubisoft to be shut down. I just wish they're
Oop, you just stopped. Uh-oh.
I'm getting you.
There you go.
Okay.
You just
Um,
dropped out for about 7 seconds.
okay. But like I said, I'm personally boycotting Ubisoft, but I don't wish them to be shut down because they make great games. I just don't play them. But this this kind of behavior goes well beyond what I don't like about
Yeah,
Ubisoft. And
using literal malware as DRM is over the line. I mean,
yeah,
that kind of amazes me. It's like, how did you think that was okay? Was there no one in the room who went, sir? Are you really sure we want to use password stealing malware? I mean, maybe if you made just uh, Sting pirate copies that you put out on the dark web or whatever that had malware in them, it's like, well, yeah, don't go. Yeah, it has malware in it. Don't go using the pirated stuff. Entrapment. Yeah, okay.
yeah,
Uh, yeah, keep your damn malware out of my legitimately bought stuffs.
yeah.
I don't trust you not to make a mistake.
Exactly. So, but I think this is just a small independent shop. So, yeah. So there's probably not too many people there to say, no. They're probably
I
all
have
in
to.
agreement that this was the best course of
Yeah, I mean,
action.
the most benefit of the doubt I can give them is that this was not an insidious decision with malicious intent. It was just really dumb,
Yeah.
ill conceived. All right, let us move on. So, why? Thank you, Wyatt. I'm glad you think this is a good video. Moving on. Zachary, tell us a story that starts with DMCA shenanigans and ends with the ESA angry that it's not getting some of that sweet museum entry fee.
Yeah. So, just
Give us some
uh,
background.
a background, yes, about United States copyright law. Back in 1998, Congress passed what is now known as the DMCA, the Digital Millennium Copyright Act, and in this law is a section called the anti-circumvention clause, which means that if something has DRM attached to it, it's illegal to bypass that DRM in order to use that product in a way that the copyright holder doesn't want you to do. So it's like if you have a DVD, it's illegal to bypass the DRM on it in order to watch that DVD on your Linux computer or rip the file off so that you can watch it on a portable media device. Same thing with Blu-rays and also video games. It's illegal to take the DRM off of video games in order to actually play them on your computer because a lot of DRM prevents you from even being able to play. So that's been an issue, and Congress, in its infinite wisdom, decided instead of just scrapping the anti-circumvention clause entirely, they would include a a provision that allows people and organizations to petition the Library of Congress to get an exemption, a limited time exemption for bypassing DRM in order to do something that should be allowed anyways. And this process has been used for a number of positive things, like allowing you to root your phone in order to unlock it so that you can take your phone from one carrier to another carrier. So that's one of the types of things. Other exemptions are being able to bypass DRM on movies so that you can display that movie in a school, an education type setting, or cut clips out for an educational purpose, and so they have to do this every 3 years. Some exemptions get reauthorized for another 3 years. Other exemptions are completely lost after their initial 3-year period.
Right. That's the important point, is that exemptions are not permanent. They have to be they
They
expire and
have to
have to be
be
re-upped
authorized.
every year.
Yeah, I don't think there's a limit on the number of exemptions that are allowed, but every exemption has to be repetitioned every 3 years.
Yeah.
And so 2 years ago or 3 years ago, I forget exactly what it is. There's an organization called MADE, and let me make sure I've got um, the Museum of Art and Digital Entertainment. That's what MADE stands for. A couple of years ago, they successfully petitioned for the ability to bypass DRM on video games in order to display them, but this in their museum. But this petition or this exemption only applied to games that were offline, that you could play in your home without the need of an internet connection. Um, so basically, local single player games or local multiplayer games, and but they got this, and at that time the ESA was freaking out about how this opens up piracy, because all these you need a pirate, the tools created by pirates in order to bypass the DRM, and but the Copyright Office said, thank you know thankfully ignored the ESA at the time and said, okay, you can do this. And now now MADE is looking to expand their exemption to include online games as well, specifically massively multiplayer games, but also other games that still require an online connection in order to play multiplayer. And so this is, seems like a pretty simple thing to do, and it's specifically for museums and others that are trying to preserve the history of video games. It's not a blanket exemption to allow anybody to host their own online servers for anything. It's specifically for museums and groups,
For history and archival
history and archival purposes. So the ESA, in their infinite wisdom,
in their bottomless
in
greed.
in their bottomless greed, has basically come out in opposition to this. And they say, under the authority summarized above, public performance and display of copyrighted works to generate entrance fee revenue is commercial use, even if undertaken by a nonprofit museum. And so here they're saying that because a museum charges an entry fee, they're technically making money off of these copyrighted works, and that's bad, because nobody other than the copyright holder should be allowed to make money off of copyrighted material.
Even if they're no longer making money.
Yeah, even if they're no longer making money, even if they're no longer supporting that game, they should be the only one allowed to make money off of it. And so they say that they also argue that further exemptions could put private server code into the hands of the public. Basically, they're saying that if we allow museums to create private servers for these games, other people are going to get a hold of this code and host private servers of these games that we no longer support, that we no longer publish and anything. They're going to make these and they're actually going to play them. How horrible of a thing that is.
We don't want people to enjoy our games unless we're making money.
And they bring up the example of Blizzard in this case, where for several years now, people have been running unauthorized vanilla World of Warcraft servers. Basically, the game as it was at launch, with any security patches and stuff applied. But basically, before any of the add-ons and expansions and stuff were added into it. And Blizzard did their best to try to shut all those down, but they kept popping up, and they're like, you know what? There might be money to be made here, and they finally got around to making their own vanilla servers that people could play on. And it's just like really, it took you 10 years to figure this out. And but that's the ESA's argument, is that some
people will pay for the stuff they want.
Yeah, is that because Blizzard did something right, that everybody else, EA, Ubisoft, Take-Two, and everybody else is going to magically decide, however many years down the line that people still want to play these other games that they no longer support. But they're never going to get around to doing that. They're spending too much time and resources on making new games. So
If I were in court or in a room or whatever with ESA as a person, I would ask, out of sheer morbid curiosity, what percentage of the museum's entrance fee do you feel entitled to?
that's a good
I'm
point.
just curious.
Yeah,
I
that
have
that
no
is
idea
a
what the
good
entrance fee is.
point.
I imagine it's $10 or something like that.
Yeah, I would say it's probably around $10. It depends on the location.
Hmm.
Some areas might be a little bit more because higher rent costs and everything, property taxes, whatever. But
Every
but
third
yeah,
Tuesday is free. What do you do then?
yeah, $10, for all day entry sounds pretty reasonable to me for something of this nature.
Mhm.
But yeah, but I agree. It's like, what percentage does the ESA claim it would be theirs in this case? Um, you know,
I mean, would they have to count up the number of display pieces and divide that by the number of them that are their video games, and then use that percentage of the admission fee, and that's how much they, I
uh,
guess, or it's like
yeah,
they probably say all of it.
probably, and
If, if,
that's
if you're displaying our games in your museum, then your entrance fee goes to us, all of it.
yeah.
I bet
Well, and
EA
that's
would make that
basically
argument.
the RIAA's uh,
Music.
position on things like Spotify and Pandora is like, everything you make
Yeah.
should be ours.
Mhm.
Um, but um,
Well, I mean, yeah, that's how YouTube copyright. That's how Nintendo does it. It's like, oh, you used a 2-second clip of one of our video games. Well,
we own everything. Yeah,
we get all of the advertising revenue from your
yeah.
video.
So, but this isn't the end of the ESA's insanity here.
No.
So this is another part of their complaint. It says, like other types of valuable creative works, video games regularly are reintroduced or reimagined. In fact, there is a vibrant and growing market for retro games. I like how they put that in quotes, not square quotes, but just quotes, which
Hmm.
game companies are motivated to serve. And let me just put this out there: the Secret of Mana remake is hot garbage.
Eh,
And that's the consensus, is that it is complete garbage. And if that's the kind of reimagining we can expect from companies like, these major publishers, nobody wants those. They want the
well,
original.
there's
And
there's that, but there's also, while some remakes and reimaginings and whatnot are genuinely great, just off the top of my
yeah,
head, the
some of them
Resident
are.
Evil remake on the GameCube, phenomenal. It's
Oh yeah,
wonderful. But a lot of people still want to play the original. The
exactly.
original play. I don't know why they'd want to, but they want to play the original
On the
1998
PlayStation,
or so PlayStation game because
yeah,
it's a different game, and
yeah, and
having the original available does not. I mean, it's kind of like
oh yeah,
Nintendo doing that whole, oh well, we're not competing with Sony and Microsoft. It's like, well, in this case, you're
kind
really
of are.
not.
Yeah,
I guess they are trying to
'cause,
make
yeah,
the well. I mean, some people might prefer the original and not the new one that we just made. It's like, you own the original. Release them both.
yeah.
You can do that.
Yeah. So, but again,
Make more money.
even this exemption itself is not barring these companies from re-releasing these games themselves.
Correct.
There's nothing to stop them from doing that. The existence of a display in a museum does not mean that EA or Square or whoever can't re-release the game at some future
Right.
period of time.
I'll be honest. I'm much more interested if there's a game that I'm interested in. I'm much more likely to actually buy the game and play it in the comfort of my own home than actually take time out of my day to go to a museum and play it there. You know,
Yeah,
they act
exactly.
like, oh, if it's available to play in a museum, no one's ever going to buy anything from us. It's like, how are you so bad at life?
Yeah, and that's basically their final point. They say in some expansion of the video game preservation exemption, as contemplated by Class 8 is not a modest proposal, eliminating the important limitations that the register provided when adopting the current exemption risks possibility of wide-scale infringement and substantial market harm.
I like the way
Basically,
you
they're
said that.
saying that we can't compete with a museum, so don't let the museum have any
You
of
know
this.
what? If you can't compete with the museum, you don't deserve your spot in the market, my friend. Uh,
Exactly.
it's the whole all the money type of thing. Plug in my own video, all the money. Look it up; it's good.
Yeah.
My sister's in it. Um, there, the idea that one person somewhere might not have the $30 for their retro game and may instead go and play it at a museum for $10 and then not buy the game, who would never have bought it otherwise, who would never have experienced it otherwise, other than at the museum, they hate that. That's
Mhm.
like the worst thing it's like, oh, we didn't make someone's enjoying something and we're not making money. That's terrible.
Yeah, you really got to wonder. It's like,
If
does
we
the
can't make
ESA
all the money,
actively
then we don't want you to be happy.
hate people borrowing games or going to their friend's house and playing a game at their friend's house? Because that's
Well,
competition.
publishers do, so the
Yeah.
ESA does.
Microsoft does. We know that because they originally planned to not allow that on the Xbox One. But, but yeah.
Get lecture dramatic reading of wide scale infringement and substantial market harm.
Yes, I
All
love
right, we've got
it.
a lot to go through. Let's move
We
on.
got a lot more to go through.
So, speaking of dumb publishers, let's move on to Konami.
Well, Konami's been
Oh my
dumb for
God.
years. It's like,
Yes.
oh, people don't want Castlevania games. They want to play Castlevania Pachinko.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
all right, quickly. So, Metal Gear Survive, which, uh,
Is this
you
a
know,
mobile game? I
no,
didn't
no, no.
quite
It's
look into
it's
this.
a console game,
It
but
is
it's
a
like,
console game? Okay, because the name Metal Gear Survive makes me think of
yeah.
a mobile game,
Well,
like Hitman Go or
it's
something.
essentially Metal Gear 5 Phantom Pain, just horde mode with zombies that have sparkly pink crystal unicorn horns. It's a really weird
Okay.
it's a really weird character design. It's like it's a regular zombie, but its
I'm gonna
face
have
is
to
like
watch
missing and
this.
it's got like a Twilight Sparkle horn on it. It is so weird.
Yeah,
So
that sounds very weird.
So the idea of the game is there's a bunch of these zombies and you have to go hit them in their unicorn horn to destroy them and collect resources to build chain link fences to stave off the hordes.
This
Apparently
game
it's
is just
not a
hilarious. Maybe I want to buy
you
this.
know the first previews I saw for it, I was like, that is weird, but maybe it would be fun. Reading the reviews, apparently it's not fun. But here is the are you kidding me aspect of this story. So there is one save slot in this game. Uh, so if you have a sibling who wants to play their own game, tough noogies because there's only one save slot.
Yeah.
But you can buy a second save slot with microtransactions. So the game has SV coins, whatever the heck that stands for.
Survival coins. That's
I
what
guess
video.
survival coins, which you can buy with real life money to unlock various perks and items and things in the game. But one of the things you can buy with your real money is an extra save slot. And oh my God, Konami, seriously now. And I groused about this on Twitter. I said, "What's next? What are you going to monetize pausing the game? You can't pause unless you buy the $10 pause feature." According to Polygon, there is currently no way to actually earn SV coins in game
In
through
game, you have to
gameplay.
buy them.
Now,
Oh, wow.
Konami has given some away. Like when you log in, they'll like give you a few, but it's not like you can play the game. And so far, at least according to Polygon, it's not like you can play the game and kill unicorn zombies and earn SV coins that you can then spend on unlocking a save file. No, you have to. It'll
You
take
have to
about
spend
10
$10.
bucks worth of SV coins to unlock a save file.
And what gets me
That's
with this
just
is just okay.
petty.
Beyond the save file thing, that's completely ridiculous. But this is one of the things that I have always complained about with these kind of coin purchases, is that you always have to buy them in certain increments so that what you want to buy costs less than how much you actually have to spend.
Right.
Here, the save file costs 1,000 coins, but the closest you can get is buying 1,150 coins.
Right.
So you've got 150 coins left over that are doing absolutely nothing after
That
you
you spent
bought the
your
save
money
file.
on. So
Yeah,
you're like, well, I guess I have to. I'd hate to just waste money, so I've got to buy
to buy
more. They
something.
do that on purpose. But
Yeah. Hmm.
come on, Konami. You're monetizing an extra save file. That's low.
Yeah, it is. It's
Even for
ridiculous.
you, that's
This it
low.
reminds me. I could have sworn there was another game that had a similar issue. I don't think they were selling extra save files, but there was only one save file. I can't remember what the game was
I
though.
think Breath of the
But
Wild only has one save file, but it's not like I think Nintendo just didn't have a lot of foresight there. I don't think it was anything
yeah,
insane. It's just one of those dumb things that Nintendo occasionally
yeah.
does. Get asked, is this like Red Dead Redemption, the Undead Redemption remakey thing? Uh, kind of. Well, no. That was a DLC expansion for the game. It was also good. This
Yeah.
is a new standalone title that's based on Metal Gear 5, but it's its own separate thing. It costs $40, and it's Metal Gear
So 40 bucks, and if you want to let your sibling or spouse or significant other to play the game as well, it's going to cost 50 bucks or 60 bucks, depending on how many save files you want.
Yeah.
But
Pokemon Go did that stuff. It's rude. Well, Pokemon Go is also free to play, so
yeah, it's free to play,
this
and
costs $40
Pokemon
and an
Go
extra
also
10 if
allows
you
you
want a
to,
second
or
game save.
yeah, but Pokemon Go also allows you to earn the Pokemon coins in game. So, so yeah, if you don't want to go through the process of earning the coins, you can buy them. But if you have extra coins after you buy them with real money, you can always just go and throw a Pokemon into a gym and get free coins to expand your wallet so that you can buy more stuff.
Yeah.
But
Well, shame on Konami. Let's move
yes,
on
shame.
to Ubisoft, who Zachary is currently boycotting. So Ubisoft actually did something really neat with Assassin's Creed. I don't know,
Origins.
15, whatever number it
Yeah,
would be at
but
this
they
point, but
call it
they call it
Origin.
Origins. It's the Egypt one. A
Yeah.
lot of people really liked the setting and the way Ubisoft realized ancient Egypt with their new game and said, wouldn't it be cool if you took all of the actual gameplay out of the game and let us just wander around and experience Egypt? And some gamers said, no, no, that wouldn't be cool at all. But a lot of educators and a lot of other people said, actually, yeah, that would be really neat because I love ancient Egypt. I love the way it's represented as a 3D space that I can walk around in and experience. But I don't really care about, jumping off a building and shanking some dude in the face. So Ubisoft made Discovery Tour, which is a version of the game that strips out the story and the gameplay, but adds narrated walking tours, so you can
Yeah.
walk around all the various locales of the game setting in ancient Egypt, and a narrator will give you history lessons on the era and the people in it and the stuff you're looking at, and that's
That's
actually really
that's
neat.
really cool. Yeah, it
Um,
is a really awesome thing, and I wish more game companies would do that. If for those those games that have historically accurate
right,
settings.
because the assets are already there. All you need to do is the bare minimum to research and write and record the
Well, and
overlying narration.
yeah, but they did all of that research prior to. They're like,
Right.
we got all this research. What do we want to do with it?
Mhm.
Let's create a tour mode, and that is really cool. Yeah,
So here's the weird thing. Assassin's Creed is rated M for mature, and they want to use this Discovery Tour mode in schools. And you might be thinking, well, they took out the gameplay, so there's no one cursing at you, and you're not jumping off buildings and shanking people in the face. So all the violence and blood and gore and stuff is gone, right?
yeah.
Yes, but there are nude statues in the game.
Historically accurate nude statues, mind you.
Historically accurate nude statues, and apparently, uh, the Ubisoft is worried that it, the nudity of these statues is going to get it a rating that would prohibit the game from being used in schools, which is weird to me because, so far as I know, I don't know that any schools actually have policies of educational games have to be T or less. Like they have.
Yeah,
I didn't know that. The articles I were reading, I have not seen ESRB respond to any journalist's question for comment. But my thoughts would be, why would nude statues require an M rating? I
yeah.
I mean, we
It
still
would.
should. I haven't been in school in 2 decades, but when I was in school, they didn't censor Michelangelo's David, and his dong was in full display. They
Yeah,
didn't censor the Sistine Chapel, and there's boobs and dongs and stuff all over that ceiling.
yeah,
So,
exactly.
in the context of art, nudity, even dongs, seems to be okay in school. I don't know why this would be
There
a
have
problem.
been surprisingly there have been a couple of stories in the last few weeks of schools or parents or whoever freaking out that their kids were exposed to a classic painting that depicted nudity, and it's just, yeah, it's really weird to me. And you
You're
know
you know how babies are born, right?
yeah,
I mean, babies see nudity like their own and their parents.
yeah.
So I don't think a picture of stuff they've seen before is really. I genuinely don't get that. But Ubisoft, their solution to this
It is-
was to
it-
put seashells over
the
all the nutty
exact
bits
the exact same seashell. It's not
that
like
Ariel wears as a
as a
bra
bra.
in
Yeah,
Little Mermaid, and it's the same model. They didn't like custom. I mean, it's sized, but it's the same seashells over all breasts and
yeah.
all
They
penises.
didn't vary the texture at all.
Nope, no, it's recut. It matches what
Yeah,
the color of whatever it's on, so it's marble or whatever.
yeah,
But they just.
yeah.
Uh,
It's
I
hilarious.
don't. That's
I've
just
seen pictures of
bad,
this. You know,
man.
it's like side by side comparisons of the statue in the story mode and the statue in the tour mode, and it's hilarious to see it because it's just like the seashells just don't look
They
right.
don't.
They don't fit in.
I'm
They're
thinking,
more
isn't there
distracting
something?
than what.
Yes, isn't there something at least more era and region appropriate than seashells? There's got to be
Yeah.
something that would have been a better compare. One, this is completely unnecessary. I
A camel that constantly walks in front and you can't look around it, like it circles around and
or maybe it does the anime thing where there's like steam or light, a light shaft always in the right spot. I, I really like this discovery thing, but it is so weird to me that we have to that we have an educational tool and we have to censor some of the art.
Yeah, that is very weird.
Maybe get a permission slip from the parents. Come on. Oh,
Yeah,
this is sad. All right,
yeah,
so let us move on to even more sad.
yes.
Um, hey, did you know that violent video games are back in the forefront of politicians' minds as something to blame for societal violence? Apparently, the fact that this has been settled for years now ain't stopping them because and now
Yeah,
this is not the loot box thing we were talking about last week, but
yeah.
uh, we are getting several different senators and even the president saying that these games make kids more aggressive, and we need laws. With the president going so far as to say that we need a rating system.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
This is,
and he said that for movies.
yeah. This is
The
mind-boggling.
MPAA has been around for 50 years.
Yeah, and this is Donald Trump, the president, and he says this is his question. He says, or this is his quote. He says, "I'm hearing more and more people seeing the level of violence in video games, and really, and it." In video games is really shaping young people's thoughts. And then you go the further step, and then it's the movies. You see these movies, and they're so violent. A kid is able to see the movie if sex isn't involved, but killing is involved. Maybe we need to put a rating system for that.
I love the fact that he even gets the talking point completely backwards. The jump is from movies to video games because they're interactive, but Trump got it completely ass backwards and is like I can see him like trying to remember the talking. Oh, well, I'm hearing a lot of, in other words, I was just told before I came in here. I've been hearing a lot of about these violent video games, and then that leads into movies. We should have ratings for the. It's like, oh my God.
And the call for ratings just screams uninformed. And
Yeah.
this is Donald Trump. I'm sure he has absolutely no actual relationship with his young
I
Donald
am
Trump
I
the
am
third or whoever he
actually
is.
not at all
And,
surprised, nor would I. If you told me that Donald Trump was genuinely not aware that movies and video games and TV or anything else actually have ratings, that would not surprise me in the
yeah, it
least.
wouldn't
He is
surprise me at all.
phenomenally ignorant on every issue that does not concern him.
Yeah, you would think that somebody would have said, there are ratings on video games and movies, and they have descriptors on them telling them why they got those ratings. But
Also, this has already been settled by the Supreme Court 5 years ago. It's not going to work.
yeah, and it's just mind-boggling, and it's the fact that this has become the topic of focus from a lot of politicians when a school shooting has happened.
Well,
We
you
had
see, the
this
NRA donates more to politicians than the ESA does. If it was the other way
apparently, yeah,
around, they'd be blaming guns and not video games.
yeah,
Again,
and
apologize for being so cynical, but
yeah, and and so we've had this shooting in Florida, and then last month there was also a shooting in Kentucky as well.
yep.
And this has gotten the Kentucky governor, Matt Bevin, I
Mhm.
guess that's how you say his last name. This got him talking, and he says guns are not the problem. We have a cultural problem in America. And then he goes on to say, claiming that Americans have lost their moral compass because of this culture of death. And there are video games that, yes, are listed for mature audiences, but kids play them and everybody knows it. And there's nothing to prevent the child from playing them. They celebrate the slaughtering of people. They're there are games that literally replicate and give people the ability to score points for doing the very same thing that these students are doing
Score
inside of
points.
schools, where you get extra points for finishing someone off who's lying there begging for their life. You gotta
Yeah.
wonder, what game
What
is
game are you
he
playing, dude?
talking about? What game is this? Give
Please
me
give
the
me an
name
example
of
of a
the
game.
game
Yeah,
so that we can
I'd really
try
like
this
to know this game that you literally score points in. A
for killing people who
period.
are begging for their life.
I mean, the only thing off the top of my head that I can think of that you actually a modern game that you score points in is the new Pac-Man Championship Edition 2. And
Yeah,
games like that score points, but games have not used points in years. I mean,
exactly.
stop
There
making
are
things up.
kill counts at the end of arena battles. Like, it's like, how many times did you kill somebody? How many times did you die? That kind of stuff. But that's not really points.
You know, this would be like if people who were arguing for gun reform argued for gun reform by describing guns as these things that shot bullets that drilled in, when, like the cerebral bore in Turok 2 drilled in and then exploded, and also shot little nanobots that crawled along the floor and dissolved your flesh, and also flamethrowers. It's like, no, that's not how the guns work at all. What are you talking about?
Yeah,
Ah, I mean, some people get their terminology of various guns incorrect, but the idea that, yeah, you pull the trigger, a bullet goes out, it hits a person, the person dies. That's pretty much what happens. But their descriptions of even how video games work, how they're sold, how they're consumed, what they're
yeah,
like, is not even remotely close
yeah.
to
Because he
this
goes.
reality.
Yeah, and he says that these quote unquote video games, and they're forced down our throats under the guise of protected speech. It's garbage. It's like, they're forced down
Really?
our throats. Are there
Is
people
someone
with
giving you
guns
is someone
holding
forcibly giving you video games?
and making you play them?
Yeah.
No, nobody's doing that. And then when the host of this interview asked him if he considers calling for a ban on violent video games, he says, I think we need to start having an honest question about what value any of these things have. Why do we need a video game, for example, that encourages people to kill people? Whether it's lyrics, whether it's TV shows, whether it's movies, I'm asking for producers of these products, these video games, and these movies. Ask yourself, what redemptive value, other than shock value, other than the hope that you'll make a couple of bucks off of it? At what price? At what price?
They're fun to play.
Yeah, they're fun.
There's
And
one. They can
yeah.
they can also lead to neat things like the Assassin's Creed Discovery Tour with seashells.
Yeah, and I don't know. This is the kind of stuff that's just, it's
Just I
old
don't
hat.
want to
Yeah,
talk
it's
about guns. That's all it
yeah, that's pretty much it. It's like, I want to distract everybody from the issue of guns and everything like that. And and as a I I think these guys, they're just talking points. They're trying to deflect, and
Hey Matt, have you heard about this thing the kids are into called Dungeons and Dragons? I
exactly.
think it's I think it's warping their fragile little minds.
Yeah. So we'll have to see how many other politicians come up with these exact same talking points over the next few weeks. But we do have our first bit of legislation introduced in the wake of these school shootings, which
Was it
is
Rhode
something
Island?
we haven't. Yeah, in Rhode Island,
Yeah.
we haven't seen legislation targeting video games in a while. At least nothing
Yeah.
really interesting, because after the Supreme Court, it's like very few
Well,
legislators want
the
to
couple
touch it.
loot boxes things from the
Well, yeah, and I think
but
that's a little bit different
yeah, yeah.
than this. But in Rhode Island, we have a representative, Nordolio,
Yeah, sorry, I don't
something
know.
along those lines. It looks like a Latin name, so, or
Robert
Spanish name. So
Nardolilo.
yeah,
Nardolilo. I don't know.
something along those. The third, he's the third, but he's introduced legislation, or he will introduce. I don't know if the bill has actually been filed yet or not, but this is his press release. He says he's introducing legislation to increase mental health and counseling resources in schools by implementing a tax on video games rated M or higher. There is evidence that children exposed to violent video games at a young age tend to act more aggressively than those who are not. Uh, this bill would give schools the additional resources needed to help students deal with that aggression in a positive way. Because states cannot ban the sale of certain video games to minors, Representative Nordy proposal would instead allocate money to counteract the aggression they may cause. The legislation would levy an additional 10% tax to video games sold in Rhode Island with the rating of M or higher. Revenue generated by this tax would then be placed in a special account for school districts to use to fund counseling, mental health programs, and other resolution activities. So, yeah, so adding another $6 to the cost of a video game doesn't sound like the type of proposal that will go down well.
Well, syntaxes never work.
Yeah.
Also, this I'm trying to be charitable here, but this comes dangerously close, if not stepping over the line of stigmatizing mental health. And
Yeah.
but here's a proposal: social programs that encourage and facilitate positive mental health are welcome.
Yes.
So fund them. You
Yeah.
don't need to syntax M-rated games. Just
And you gotta wonder exactly
give less
how
tax
much,
cuts to corporations and extraordinarily wealthy people.
yeah, and you
That's
gotta
really
wonder
easy to
how
fund.
much
You
money
don't
this
need
is
to do
going to
that.
raise too,
Hmm.
because I don't know. It's been a while since I've looked at the breakdown of M-rated games sold in the U.S. But last time I really looked at this a few years back, it was what, like 12% of all games sold are M-rated.
It's under 20. Yeah.
Yeah, and so if that, and I don't know, I would have to do a whole research and math and everything to figure this out, based on population and
Hmm.
total number of games sold in the U.S. You would think that this tax, if it actually ever went into effect, probably wouldn't raise all that much. Maybe a few, a couple $100,000 at the most. I'm being generous here. How much is that actually going to buy in these counseling resources, mental health resources?
Hmm.
It's not going to be that much. I'm sure you could end a corporate tax break and make the whole lot more. Bring in a whole lot more revenue for these
Well, I
programs.
mean, when you have to, when you're giving such large tax breaks to corporations and ultra wealthy people, that you, in order to pay for it, have to cut programs like you know PBS and Meals on Wheels and things like that, that are such a minuscule fraction of the entire budget, then hmm, you're doing it wrong. Let's
Yeah,
just say. Um, the idea, it's like, hey, let's get a bunch of programs up to promote good mental health. I think that's a great idea if done right. Why not just fund the damn programs? You have plenty of money. You don't need to give it to really rich people and corporations. Take
yeah,
some of that and fund a program. You do not need to syntax M-rated games, because we'll find ways around it anyway, by like buying them out of state or having them imported. Or I don't know how it would count if you bought them digitally. Like if you bought an M-rated game, I mean, where does it matter where you're downloading it to or where you're buying it from? When I buy a digital
yeah.
game, I'm not sure where the tax comes in. I think like if I buy something from Amazon, if it's shipped to California, then it's subject to California taxes. But if I download something on the Switch eShop, well, it's like from Japan, I guess. Does it
Yeah.
do state taxes count? I honestly don't know.
Yeah.
Um, Scotty says perhaps guns should be taxed. I'm sure they cause quite a number of mental health issues. Be an interesting question. It's like, would you, hey, well, what's his name? Robert, Bud, Bobby. Um, okay, so violent video games cause mental health issues. Okay, so you're going to tax violent video games to address mental health issues.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Um, Guns that shoot people hurt people who get shot. So, would you be up for taxing the sale of guns to cover the medical bills of people and or funeral expenses, unfortunately, of people shot by guns? I'd be very interested to hear what his answer to that would be.
Yeah. That would be an interesting question. Yeah. Who knows? Just doing a quick search. Rhode Island has a population of just a little over 1 million people,
Hmm.
and so I don't know exactly how many households that would come out to, but let's say about a third of that, so about maybe 300,000 households.
Sure.
And if every household bought, 4 games a year, one of those games would be M rated. So you're looking at about 300,000 M-rated games, whatever that comes out to. It might make a fair amount of money, but not
That's assuming every single household buys games and
buys an
buys at least
M-rated game.
one
Yeah.
M-rated game. But
So
yeah,
yeah,
it's not going to work. This is not going to go anywhere. It's just the again cynical, but it's just that I'm doing something honest posturing that
yeah.
unfortunately a lot of our politicians do.
That
Um,
comes out. If every household, out of 300,000 households bought an M-rated game in a year, that comes out to
mhm,
$1.8 million.
sure.
But again, that's not likely that every household would buy an M-rated game or a game in general.
But
So
mental health is pretty important. Are you sure
yeah,
you want to risk underfunding the program if violent games don't sell? I mean, especially if you make it a sin tax, which makes people less likely to buy M-rated games, which makes people which gives you less money to fund the program to do ostensibly good things. So why not just fund a program to do good things?
yeah. But you're also looking at a state that is relatively small, and it's pretty darn simple to just pop over to Delaware or
Yeah,
Massachusetts to
yeah.
buy video games if somebody doesn't want to spend the extra $6. Uh,
Have cousin Jerry buy it and mail it to you.
yeah.
Chaos says it is the politician mindset of something must be done. This is something, therefore I must do it.
Yeah, because we're looking at a state that's 37 miles wide, 47 miles tall, or 48 miles tall.
Oh my God, is it really that small?
Yeah, it's that small.
Wow.
So, yeah, that's like a 45-minute drive to go and buy a video game if you don't want to pay the extra tax.
Although with gas the way it is.
Well, 30, yeah, I guess, most people aren't going to be driving from one end of the state to the other. They're going to drive,
Mhm.
you're looking at a 15-mile drive
Yep.
over the border to get a game.
Mhm. And then you got to go back.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's also there are a lot of issues to discuss with
Yeah.
violence in media and how things are portrayed and how we consume that and how we deal with it. But saying that violent video games are the problem and make people aggressive and then aggressive people kill people is stupid and disingenuous and
Yeah.
wrong. I do think it's important to talk about the effect that media, and I don't just mean video games and music. I mean actual any type of communication has on people. Uh,
Hmm.
because I mean, one of the severe problems we face today is the radicalization of other people into extremist ideologies that convinces them to hurt themselves and or others. So,
Yeah.
um, you so there are definitely a lot of things to talk about, and you can say, oh, it's not a gun issue, it's a mental health issue. We need good mental health. It's like the little girl in the commercial, can't we have both? You know.
But yeah, and I could think of a good number of things that would be better, more beneficial, that we would be better off spending our time on.
Sure.
And one of the things that I think of are after school programs. Like over the years, we have cut down on the number of things that kids can do after school, and and I'm not talking about just like sending the kid off to the YMCA or whatever, but it's just for 20 years or so we have reached a point where we're afraid to let the kids walk a quarter mile to the park by themselves and play for 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And it's just it's this kind of behavior that I think is pretty detrimental to the health and a healthy growth of a child and their self dependence or independence and everything. But you know, I would think we should spend more time exploring opportunities to let kids mature and grow in a healthy environment, and just trying to things like this, where we're taxing video games in order to expand mental health and everything. It's like, how about we instead spend that money on actually putting art programs and uh, you know you know creative activities back into schools,
Sports,
because
theater, music.
yeah, because a lot of schools, they're forced to a budget, and it's like, okay, we don't have enough money to cover all of these activities. What are we going to cut? Well, we're going to cut everything that's not sports, because sports
Sports
is
make
what
money.
everybody wants. And that always ticked me off, because when I was in school, I was in a very small school, and if you weren't on one of the sports teams, they didn't care about you. It's like the basically the only alternative to being in sports was to be in band, but with band, it's like
Because band was on the field with the
yeah, with the
sports.
sports, and it's just it was all really terrible. Like they didn't have any good
If they really want
alternative
to fund
activities.
the theater programs, they should make sure that the theater kids are all doing skits and stuff before the football game and during
That
halftime
would be
to make them
cool.
relevant. It's like, oh, well, okay,
Yeah.
theater's a big part of football now.
See, that would be fun. Having a skit show, like a skit show in the halftime instead of the band playing. That would be
You could do
fun.
both. It's fine, but
They could do both. Yeah.
yeah, kind of coattail on the popularity and profitability of sports in order to fund arts, which I
Yeah.
feel are equally important. But yeah, I mean, stuff for kids to do. I mean, there's a big push for STEM programs. I mean, wouldn't it be neat
Yeah.
if we had various funded programs that facilitated like a game jam for kids that used that either paired them with people who know what they're doing, or use something like RPG Maker,
Yeah.
or
Well, and
science fair type of stuff.
yeah, and
Give them
there
something to
there
do.
are people out there that are doing that.
Hmm.
There's a golly, now I'm trying to remember their name, but they're up in Montana, and these guys are doing, they have that kind of after school thing. They work a lot with Josh and Trevor Hughes. Those are the guys I'm thinking of. But yeah, they live in Montana, and they've developed a school program using games like Little Big Planet to teach kids about coding and level design and that kind of stuff. And it's a very successful program, and they've actually gotten some state and even some national subsidies to help them expand that program. But they're doing it as part of their game studio
Nintendo.
they
Nintendo Labo Jams. Make it a nationwide event with little events all over the place where kids go with their parents to make cool Labo stuff and show it
yeah.
off, and the winners get like official Labo crap or something, you know? Get in on this, Nintendo. You could make money.
That would be cool, yeah.
Scotty says Mario Maker would be perfect. Yeah, something.
Yeah, I think Mario Maker would be good. And because there's a lot of cool things you can do
Mario
with it.
Maker
It's like
Jam.
it still amazes me to this day that somebody made a mech in Mario Maker that actually walks along, and it's just using the all the different assets that have actions, and you figure out how to fit them all together to make a walking mech, and it was just totally awesome.
Oh,
It blows
great,
my
yeah.
mind. Yeah. Good stuff, man.
So I suppose this is the end of the
Yeah.
episode where Zachary and Andrew fix the world. Yeah, just listen to us. We know all the answers, even though we're incredibly cynical. So thanks for sticking with us tonight. I know it's a long episode. We had just a ton of. It was one of some weeks. It's like there's just nothing catching our eye this week. It's just a week. This week was like, oh my god, everything. I wanted to talk about everything. So let's plug our stuff and get out of here. So Andrew Eisen here, Eisen is how you spell the last name. Plug it into YouTube and you'll find my absurd YouTube videos, one of which is called All the Money, and it has my sister and I making fun of publishers and microtransactions and loot boxes and how they're never happy just making tons of money. They need to make all the money. Yeah. I'm also doing a bunch of Monster Hunter videos where I'm recording my first hunt with every monster, and I just hunted Nergigante a couple hours ago, and that was fun. That was a fun fight. I really like that one. I'm behind. I have like 5 recorded. I just haven't got around to editing them. Editing. Oh, that one does not roll off my tongue easily. But the beginning of the game, I was kind of cranking out videos because it's like, here's a monster, and then you go on your next quest, here's a new monster, here's a new monster. As you get closer to the end of the game, it starts spreading out a bit, and the drop rate of certain pieces decreases, so you need to spend a lot more time actually grinding to make the cool weapons and armor and such. Which is why I'm not doing a video every day like I was a month ago. But I think on deck is Black Diablos, Lava Fish, Lava Sloth, Lavas, yeah, whatever it's called. I already did Bagel Juice. Azure Rathalos, Uragon, and Nergigante. Not sure who's left in the game. I guess some of the elder dragons, like Teostro or Kusha Diora, whatever their name, Val Hazak, something, and the end guy. So I don't know, and I'll do Devil Joe at some point when Devil Joe's released in June or April or whenever that is. So follow me on Twitter at Andrew Eisen, and you can listen to or read me profanely yelling at YouTube to stop recommending me horrible, hateful, bigoted videos.
You should make a video about that.
I should make a video about that. You know, I know it's an algorithm, but I'm still kind of personally offended that any AI is like, oh yeah, I bet Andy would like this bigoted crap. How dare you suggest such a thing? Preposterous. Oh, you know. Anyway, YouTube, you do kind of suck.
You can be better.
try sucking less. For me to you, YouTube, try sucking less. All right, Zachary, plug away.
All right, you can follow me on Twitter at Easy Night, where I talk about gaming and politics and other things that interest me. And you can also follow my game development work at DK_gaming, and that's on Twitter, and DivineKnightGaming.com is the website. And if you're interested in the Oklahoma game development scene, check out OK Game Devs on Twitter and OKGameDev.com. So,
all right. Oh, YouTube, a little bit more advice here from Andrew. I know Paul Logan, whatever his name is. Wait a minute, Paul Logan's an actor, and Logan, whoever Logan Paul and PewDiePie and some of these other incredibly profitable personalities, albeit problematic. I know it's one of those, yeah, they're asses and they make us look bad and it's a PR problem, but they make us a lot of money. Here's what you do. Delete their channels and promote someone else. Just grab other random people, make sure they're not hateful idiots, and throw them into the trending page. And you can do this. You can engineer popularity. You know you can do that. Just do that.
And
get rid of the problematic people and make good people who aren't problematic just as popular and profitable. Boom, money and no bad PR.
And if you weight your random selection into Andrew's favor, he's not going to complain.
Yeah, right, exactly. All right, that's it for us. Thanks for listening. We'll be back.
Thank you, everybody.
Next weekend. So
yes, we will.
Have a lovely week, everyone. Ta-ta.
All right. See ya.